Imagine you're sitting on your couch, scrolling through endless videos. You're laughing, but you don't feel happy. You're watching, but you're not really interested. You feel like you're drowning in a sea of cheap pleasure, yet somehow you've never felt more empty. Welcome to the dopamine hole. It's not just boredom, and it's not just laziness. It's a biological debt you didn't know you were signing up for. Today, we're going to dissect the anatomy of your mind to understand why your brain is literally shutting down its ability to feel joy and how you can force it to reboot. To understand the hole, we first have to meet the culprit, dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure molecule. They're wrong. Dopamine is the molecule of more. It's the neurochemical of craving, anticipation, and pursuit. Think of it as your internal compass. Thousands of years ago, it told our ancestors there might be fruit on that tree, or there's a clear stream over that hill. It didn't make the fruit taste better. It gave them the energy to walk 10 miles to find it. In the modern world, this system is under attack. Every notification, every high-sugar snack, and every infinite scroll is a false signal of survival. Your brain thinks it's finding life-saving resources, so it pumps out dopamine at levels our ancestors couldn't imagine. But there's a catch. Dr. Anna Lembke, in her groundbreaking work Dopamine Nation, explains that your brain treats pleasure and pain like two sides of the same scale. This is the homeostasis mechanism. Your brain hates being out of balance. When you experience a spike of pleasure, let's say from a viral video or a pint of ice cream, your scale tips heavily to the pleasure side. To bring it back to level, your brain doesn't just stop. It launches a counter process. It pushes down on the pain side with equal force. This is the opponent process theory. The problem is this pain push stays active much longer than the original pleasure spike. When the pleasure fades, you're left with the weight on the pain side. That feeling of anxiety, restlessness, and emptiness after you put your phone down, that's your brain trying to balance the scale by making you suffer. Why do we keep scrolling even when it's not fun anymore? This is called reward prediction error, or RPE. Your brain releases dopamine based on the expectation of a reward, not the reward itself. When you scroll, you're looking for that one perfect video. Most of them are just okay, which creates a negative prediction error. Your dopamine drops below baseline. So you scroll again, hoping for a spike to fix the low. You've stopped watching for fun. You're now watching just to stop the pain of the drop. You are no longer the hunter. You are the hamster on a wheel that's spinning too fast. This cycle is powered by a phenomenon called the Coolidge Effect. In a classic biological study, a male rat would mate with a female until he was completely exhausted. He wouldn't move. He looked finished. But the moment a new female was introduced, his dopamine spiked instantly, and he began again with full energy. He wasn't physically tired. He was just reward tired. Your social media feed is a digital Coolidge Effect machine. It presents a never-ending stream of newness. Your brain never gets the signal to rest because the next new thing is always half a second away. You are exhausting your neurochemistry while your body sits perfectly still. Eventually, your brain realizes it's being flooded. To protect itself from overstimulation, it performs receptor downregulation. It literally removes or locks its D2 receptors. Think of your brain as a house with many doors. Dopamine is the guest that brings joy. If too many guests rush in at once, the brain panics and boards up the doors. Now, even when good guests arrive, like a beautiful sunset, a meaningful conversation, or a professional win, they can't get in. You have become joy deaf. This is the deepest part of the dopamine hole. At this stage, nothing feels good, and your motivation to do anything productive vanishes. When you're in this state, you might feel like you're paralyzed. You know you should work, you know you should exercise, but you can't make yourself move. This is a micro version of Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is caused by the death of dopamine-producing neurons. Patients don't just have shaky hands, they often experience freezing, where they physically cannot initiate a movement because the chemical spark is missing. In the dopamine hole, your neurons are fine, but your receptors are offline. You are waiting for motivation to strike, but motivation is a chemical reaction that you've temporarily disabled. So, how do we force a reboot? Science shows we can't climb out with more pleasure. We have to lean into the pain. First, the cold reset. Research confirms that immersion in cold water, around 14 degrees Celsius, causes a 250% increase in dopamine levels. Unlike the spike and crash of drugs and screens, this increase is steady and lasts for hours. Why? Because the cold is a deliberate pain stimulus that forces your brain to tilt the scale back towards pleasure naturally. Second, NSDR, or non-sleep deep rest. Stanford's Andrew Huberman recommends 20 minutes of complete stillness, no phone, no music, no input. This planned boredom tells your brain that the flood is over. It's the only way to get your brain to start unboarding those D2 doors. You have to let the world be boring so it can become beautiful again. Stop waiting to feel like it. In the dopamine hole, that feeling will never come. You must use behavioral activation. Start with a mechanical task. Wash one dish, walk to the mailbox, fold one shirt. The movement comes first, then the dopamine follows. You have to manually crank the engine of your brain until it starts running on its own again. Also, use stimulus control. If you're in recovery, you have to put down the shovel, lock your phone in a safe, delete the apps for 24 hours. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. A final warning, if your emptiness has lasted more than 2 weeks and lifestyle changes aren't working, this may be clinical depression. Genetics, like the DRD2 gene variant, can also make you more prone to these crashes. Know your own mind anatomy. You are the architect of your own chemistry. The hole is deep, but it's not permanent. Stop digging, embrace the silence, and find your balance once more. If this analysis helped you understand your brain, subscribe and join our community. We have a lot more to dissect. See you in the next analysis.